hey everyone, we will just like quickly show ourselves, and then probably we will switch off the video to make sure there will be no lags with the presentation. I think that would be the best way. And yeah, so it's very nice to have you all here. I think we've been presented, something that was, over, where we regularly are. So yeah, just hey to everyone.
Yeah, hi, it's really great to be here.
Yeah, so today we're gonna give you some, stopping the video. Okay, so today we're gonna give you some theory as well as practice upon the topic. So hopefully we will learn some insights about the ability to automate bookkeeping for many clients of yours through one system, so that all details are accurately recorded, reports look correct, and your time is saved for more important tasks than manual data entry. And let's go step by step. So here is the plan of our today's meeting. So firstly, we'll briefly mention the challenges all of you might be familiar with dealing with e-commerces. Then we'll see how automation can help you face these challenges and resolve a number of issues. Then we will speak about the criteria for choosing a good automation app suitable for your needs. And then we will just demonstrate one of the options that can work for you. And also we'll share some perks at the very end of the webinar to all the attendees, so stay tuned. And before getting to the point, let's run just the first really short polling question to find out how many of you actually work with e-commerce clients. You should be able to see the pop-up, so just select the option upon how many e-commerce clients you work with, so that we can see like what's the usual routine for you. So just select your variant. It will stay here for about several more seconds. So just select 1 or 2 option, 3, 5, or 5+ options, and submit the form. So that would be it, and we'll be good to go to the webinar contents further on. Okay, so we're good with the question, I believe. And Emily, can you give us the results, please? Yeah, so you should all be able to see the results. So about 50% have about 1-2 clients with e-commerce, about 36% 3-5, and about 14% have 5+ e-commerce clients. Okay, so hopefully this webinar will help enhance some productivity so that you would be able to get more clients like this, and still you would be able to have plenty of free time. So thanks you once again for answering, and let's dive into the topic. Like for sure, the number of e-commerces today is growing really fast, and of course more and more e-commerce business owners understand how important it is to do their accounting for their sales properly.
Yeah, so most of you already know how many challenges there are in handling accounting for e-commerce businesses. To name just a few, detailed data entry, which is, ideally you want item and customer details, taxes, discounts, shipping costs, and, anything possible to be accounted for. But it is too time consuming and you're not sure what app can do so correctly. So right now it seems like QuickBooks is working on AI for their reporting. Who knows what they're going to explode the market with. But in order to find that out, you need to have those detailed data in your QuickBooks. Next point is entering payment processing fees. If you use various payment gateways connected to the e-commerce, which makes it harder to automate data entry. So with direct, let's say Shopify to QuickBooks integration, fees are going to be missing. Then inventory tracking, another issue. So depending on your flow, you might want to track inventory in both your e-commerce and QuickBooks or Xero accounting company. Then calculating tax returns, nothing more to add. Taxation system is, quite complex, especially if the business is spread through several states. Another big deal is dealing with refunds. They should also be accounted for and transferred over to your accounting. And this should be done properly and for sure not as expense. Also reconciling accounts. Once detailed information is recorded to your bookkeeping, as opposed to just weekly or monthly totals, it gives you the ability to analyze the data and, get detailed reporting. However, it increases the chance of, getting discrepancy. And all of it takes so much time. So if you are at this webinar, you're probably looking for solutions to these problems that we mentioned. And here is where automation is invaluable. Once you realize what automation is right for you or your client, it becomes a big helping hand in dealing with the accounting data entry, providing more accuracy and ensuring data goes to the right place in your accounting. And before we get to know how it can help and why you should be careful with automation, let's do just another quick poll, and it's the last question, we promise, for this webinar. Yeah, just Emily, if you could run the second poll and define what accounting software and online payment and e-commerce platforms you typically deal with. So your answers will help us be more focused on what you use and what you need. Yeah, just a minute to vote, and yeah, we'll just proceed.
Yeah, so this is the first part of the question, was the e-commerce platform, and then we'll have another part with the accounting platform you use. So here you see some e-commerce as well as just payment gateways. Just select what is it you or your clients typically use. Just several more seconds to finish voting. So really your answers will help us to be more focused on what you might be interested in. Thanks a lot. So let's just see what is the result and just run. Yeah, so as you can see, the majority of users are for Shopify. It's about 46%. And then we have 17% using Stripe and 15% using PayPal, 12% Square, and just like up to 5% for eBay, Amazon, and other platforms. Okay, this is good because today we also going to cover what can help you streamline the automation for bookkeeping automation for Shopify. And then just another part of the question. So it's about the accounting company you use. So just several options. QuickBooks Online, QBO stands for QuickBooks Online, QBD for QuickBooks Desktop, Xero if you use Xero, so none and other. So just quickly select. This will be, we promised the last question we will address you with, so other questions will be coming from you to us. And at the very end, we will be, so keep your questions coming. At the end, we will have a massive question and answer session, and we will go through the questions you might have, and yeah, we'll cover them. Okay, so just several more seconds to finish it up, and we can move on. Okay, that's great. Yeah, the majority are QBO, so QuickBooks Online users. That's a great thing. QBO is a really convenient tool, and yeah, about 10% Xero, 7% QuickBooks Desktop. Okay, that's fine. We can move on with this. Yeah, so thanks a lot. So frankly, I'm a big fan of automation, and if you do an accounting for many clients, especially e-commerce clients, where you have a lot of details, it's kind of a necessary to leverage it. So we encountered many situations where people use the app and it's it solved every piece of it. So they do not do bookkeeping manually anymore at all, and they have time to analyze their business better. And there are a lot of stories about bookkeepers who, thanks to the apps, doubled the amount of clients that they could serve. However, you need to make sure you have selected the right tool. And this is not just words. I mean, working with clients, I've faced the most cumbersome and unthinkable situations sometimes when people are coming to us with their books messed up due to some on-off setting that was not enabled, or with two similar automation tools doing the same job, so their income was doubled. So I truly want to warn you that once you install the automation, you need to keep track of it, at least for the first week, to make sure it works properly. So it's just, you started the automation in like 5-7 days, you come in and see whether everything is fine. So in general, our advice is not to be afraid of automation. Of course, it's a great time saver, but it's to approach automation wisely, like talk to support of the app and test it out carefully to understand if it does exactly what you need, and to double check if that is the best option. As without it, you can end up dealing with like multiple solutions and needing to set up each one, where you could have just install one application that would have done everything for you. There are also like compliance problems as well as security issues connected to dealing with clients' authentication data that is required to connect those solutions. And moreover, like various apps can process the same data differently. They can result in some double entries. So the best flow for choosing the app would be this. So first of all, think of a set of parameters that you believe are critical for you, and set of just nice to have things, and make sure you really differentiate between those two, because nice to have things, they are what they are. If you will not have them, this will not be crucial for you. Still, the integration will be okay. But for crucial things, you need to be 100% sure that all your crucial needs are covered by the integration. Then, based on this list of crucial issues, you can just write down specific questions and email them to the support team of the apps you think might be potentially helpful, and make sure you keep your questions specific enough to benefit from the reply. Then, as a step 3, you can consider the replies, but be prepared. You would need to clarify some questions and maybe send additional questions back to the applications team again to just verify that you have a very clear understanding of whether the app does or it doesn't do things you need. And the 4th step would be to test the app still on your client's live data. And you might be wondering, if you've already double-checked this with support, why would you need to test it? So this is a good question, but we will cover it just in a few minutes, and this is an important point. And actually, the answer is quite simple, but still, let's just postpone it just a bit. And as a last step, you would need to enable automation after you've tested it out, and remember that you do not need work with 2 months or 3 months of data to verify whether it works properly for you. You can just go with the last week of the data, because you remember what was going on there, you're familiar with these transactions, and if the result is perfectly correct for the last week, it's most likely you're good to go and you're good to give this application a try. So based on our background of accounting automation and our expertise of different apps for QuickBooks and Xero, we came up with 10 questions you need to ask yourself when choosing an accounting app to automate data entry for your e-commerce clients. So here they are. We will briefly discuss each of them, and then we'll switch on to the practical part of the webinar. So the question number 1. Does the app have any measures to secure your account from double entries or incorrect usage? Seems like it is something that should go out of the box. However, only few integrations on the market have really security developed to the highest extent. And saying highest extent, we mean basically several things. First is some kind of a functionality verificator to help you get rid of duplicates, so some skip duplicates feature, to make sure there's not a single chance you'll get double balance because of something was entered twice. And another thing is to make sure the app you're using has undo feature, so undo whatever been done throughout the certain period of time. So let's say you didn't have you tried the application and you didn't have a good time to verify whether it's working fine or not, and in best case you came back in 2 weeks to double check the results. And I'm saying best case because really out of our experience is just several months when people are getting back to their books, seeing what's going on there. So let's stick to best case, 2 weeks, but it can be really different. And in 2 weeks you basically realize that the data were entered incorrectly due to setup or any other reason, and if the app doesn't provide this undo functionality, you might go through each transaction and delete it manually. And if this is a like detailed automation tool, you'll spend quite a deal of time to fix your books. And with like any kind of undo functionality, you can do this in seconds, fix the setting, and then like redo the import of the data into your accounting company. And another thing concerning the security measures is the ability to securely pass credentials from your client to enable the integration with the app, because it's kind of quite a common situation when your client has the like credentials from their like Shopify or their Stripe or whatever account, and you need those credentials to set up the integration for the first time, because this is the app that most apps use to enable the integration, like to grant the permissions. So you need to do this with credentials. So you need to make sure the app has a clear and secure way to transfer these credentials to activate the app.
Yeah, that's right. We proceed to question 2. And it is, can the app recognize detailed information like product and customer names, tax, shipping, discount data, which is relevant for you? So if you or your clients track income and expenses by different categories, and their profit and loss report is quite detailed, or they need inventory management, you are to make sure the app that you're looking at transfers over item and customer information. In QuickBooks, categorization of income is based on the income categories, as you all know, and these categories are linked to product names. So if the app synchronizes total amounts of transactions with some default products, for instance, there is no way you can get automatic categorization. So this kind of integration will mostly replace one kind of manual work with another, making you categorize everything manually. So, and the same works with customer names if you want to track income by customer. So some apps might only recognize very basic data, like just the gross amount of transaction, but you might need to go in more detail about your online transactions. Syncing taxes correctly is, of course, really important, and it is especially relevant for everyone, as you all know how much of a headache it is to file a correct tax report. So if an automation doesn't recognize taxes, for instance, you will need to do a lot of manual work on top of what the automation is doing actually to prepare your books for tax filing.
Yeah, that's right. So let's move on to the next question. The third one is, does an automation tool record fees for online transaction and refunds as well? It seems like obvious, and you're thinking like, well, any integration should, do everything, like both the income and the fees as well. But the truth is that if you have some kind of direct integration, this is something Sasha mentioned in the beginning. So like your client or you're using Shopify and you have this direct Shopify to QuickBooks integration, with some tool. But you most likely, if you receive some income through Stripe or PayPal and you're using them as a payment gateways connected to your Shopify, you won't be able to record the fees simply because this integration you might be using, and which most likely works perfectly to record each and every of your Shopify transactions, is just not integrated with Stripe or PayPal or whatever is payment gateway you're using. So the fees will simply be not reflected because of this. So the best thing here would be to think about it beforehand. So you need to understand that each system, like Stripe or PayPal or Shopify or eBay, so they all are separate systems. And if you're looking for an automation tool, you need to understand that this automation tool should be compatible with all the systems you're using. So if you're using like your Shopify and PayPal as a payment method, then you need to find the tool that will integrate with both Shopify and PayPal. Then this kind of tool will be able to account for everything, both like the detailed order information from your Shopify, like entering the customer name, like items, any kind of discounts and taxes you might have inside of your Shopify, and as well PayPal fees.
Yeah, it might be kind of obvious, but we have so many people asking us whether this or that integration records fees or refunds, so you won't believe it. So this is really important, and that's why we're mentioning it here. Question number 4. Yeah, does the app support synchronization in multiple currencies? It is especially topical for big online stores, as you know. Some free and actually paid accounting automation apps either do not support it at all and will not sync your transactions in non-home currency, or will sync all transactions under your home currency and will not mention any exchange rate and the actual total of the sale in the needed currency. So you can imagine what will happen to your QuickBooks balance. In some apps, you are to create a separate account in the app for each currency, and only this way they can do multi-currency, which also makes it hard to set up even, for a single client, let alone dozens of accounts if you have like several clients.
Yeah, so the next question is about the free trial of the app and whether it's available. And here we will touch briefly why is it important not just to address support team of a particular app with the question of like whether it actually suits your needs, but also do some live tests. Basically the answer is simple, because any integration you can be working with or you're thinking of working with is based on the assumption that you use the systems correctly. So let's say you use like Stripe and QuickBooks, and you use each Stripe field and you're filling in the information that is supposed to be in those fields. But just let's be clear, in the reality, it's not, everything is not that perfect. There are a huge variety of cases upon, what data people have recorded in some fields that are not supposed, that are not used to this kind of data. So let's say, as an example, you have two clients, client A and client B. So client A has Stripe integrated with their website. This integration between Stripe and website have been, made by some like outsourced company for this client. And this integration puts the, let's say, item names inside of the description field in Stripe. And you have client B, who exactly the same has a website and the Stripe. And for this client B, integration puts the invoice number where this payment should be associated with into the description field. So you have two clients using perfectly the same Stripe systems, but they have different information in the same field. So neither support person, like any support person, will not be able to just guess what is your custom flow or your client's custom flow. So after you've kind of double checked with the support whether the app is like able to do this, that, and that, the best thing would be to go ahead, sign up for a free trial, and just do 1 or 2 tests on the live data to double check whether for all of your clients integration works properly, or do you have some custom flow and you need some adjustments either from the side of the app if that's possible, or from the side of your client if that's possible. But only a specialist will be able to advise on this, and only based on the real life data, which is why you also need to double check whether the apps you're going to use have a free trial.
Yeah, another question that we think is really important is, how is your historical data handled, and can it be synchronized at all? You might need to synchronize several years of historical data to your QuickBooks or Xero, and you definitely need an app that has this option. In our experience with some apps, you only have one chance to telling it, please synchronize my historical transactions right at the beginning when you're setting it up. And if you skip this step, you won't be able to do it later, and we'll need to look for another integration on top of the integration that you already have. So with some other apps, you can sync only, let's say, 3 months worth of data. And what if you need more? So we advise to choose the app where you will have full control of A, how many of historical transactions are syncing, and B, how they are syncing. Maybe you want to sync your historical data with, different settings, different from what settings you're about to use now with your ongoing data, and so on. So it's really, really important to have full control over your historical transactions in the app.
Yeah, especially if you're managing like different clients, and for different clients it can, the need to import historical data can be just very different. So yeah, let's move on to question 7, and this is question, well, does the app help you reconcile quickly? So like you might think of an obvious question, I mean, obvious answer, like for sure. I mean, any app is supposed to help me with reconciliation. But what we're like about here is that basically you need to understand how exactly the app is integrated into your regular reconciliation flow, and what is exactly the overall flow of the application. So how is it integrated to what you're doing manually. So because let's say if you have no clear idea upon what's the flow of the app, you might double some income, adding some records from the bank feeds manually, and you have the app which does exactly the same, recording sales transactions into your accounting platform. So here we want to give you like two major flows that apps use for reconciliation. The first one, it's more correct from the accounting point of view, as it reflects the flow of the real money in the real world. So application, once it is connected to your QuickBooks or Xero, it's creating a clearing account for the platform integrated. So that's a clearing account for your Shopify. Then it records individual sales, fees, expenses, refunds, so all of the individual transactions to this particular account, and they are stored there right the same way as real money are stored in your Shopify. And then once your actual Shopify pays the money out to the bank, then the app records a transfer from this clearing account to your checking account for exactly the same amount that was transferred from Shopify. So this way, your QuickBooks and Xero, they will be able to even pre-match in the bank feeds the record that came from your bank and the record that was created by the app. So only thing you really need to do manually, or your clients need to do manually, is just click match to confirm that the match is correct. The second accounting flow is a bit different. And for example, the app can import transactions inside of your checking account directly, or to undeposited funds. And you would need to manually match like bunch of sales receipts or invoices, as well as like fees and refunds, to one specific money deposit. So this, which is quite time consuming, and this process is like more manual. So it's up to you which one you're going to use, but our advice is just to double check what is the flow of the app to be sure you're using the app correctly and you will not create any double balance by your manual actions. And our advice is to use the apps with the first reconciliation flow, as it's like more correct from the accounting perspective.
Yeah, we proceed to question 8. How flexible is the automation? We keep kind of reminding you that your clients might have very different flows, and you'd want to manage all of them from one place, of course, rather than having 50 different integrations. So it is important to have a minimal set that will allow you to manage all of your clients in a single workspace, with no need to have a separate app for each source from which you're importing clients' data into the accounting company, or a separate solution for one type of transactions and another solution for another type of transaction, and so on. So once you found the right combination for you, you'll be able to appreciate all of the benefits that this app may give you.
Yeah, so let's move on to the 9th question. So we're pretty much there in the practical part. Yeah, so the 9th question is, does the app provide human support? Well, we were talking about like above regarding the option to like contact support prior to testing, which like is quite convenient in terms of time saving. You don't need to test all of the apps there. You can just do this based on answers you've received. However, the biggest benefit of the support team is that you have someone to help you with the issue, with your specific case or your client's specific case, as it may require some adjustments from either your client side or the side of the app. And only specialists will be able to identify that and will be able to help you actually fix that, or come up with some creative solution upon how you can set the integration so that it still works for you and your client. Also, this is more relevant as you have like several clients, because you need to know not only how to like set up the integration for one flow, you might have several different accounting flows for like each of your clients, and specialists will be able to help you set up the integration for each of your clients correctly. So this is also like just an important point, to just a time saver that will help you throughout the way.
Yeah, that's totally true. And last but not least, and kind of related question is, what do people say about the app on the marketplace? So, just as it is important to check the reviews for any product you want to buy online, let's say on AliExpress, and you all know how important this is, it is very important to know what people say about this or that accounting automation tool. If an app has 1 or 2-star reviews and horrible comments about its functionality, even if this app is free, it will hardly save you any time or money. So, however, you will get really high chances to mess up your books, which will require weeks and weeks of manual cleaning and getting things right. On the other hand, if you see an app with 4 or 5-star reviews, and let's be honest, it will most likely be a paid solution, you can trust this app and, not to create mayhem in your accounting platform. So do pay attention to the reviews, the number and the quality of them. And of course, if the support specialist names are listed, it is also important because there are real people behind the support, as Paula mentioned in the previous question. So we think this is also a really, really crucial thing to keep in mind.
Yeah, so I think we've covered some main points one need to keep in mind when gearing up with some automation tool for online accounting. And we are very eager also to learn if some of our attendees already had some experience with such accounting apps. And maybe you can think of some other pitfalls that were important, but they are out of this list. So just also share this in the Q&A section, and we will also dwell upon this at the after the video, after the video and practical part. So just a sum up that all the points above, they're here not to make you refuse an automation or make it seem unreliable, but vice versa, to give you some advice upon how you can choose the best app for you. And once you find out the one needed, you will be able to forget about the manual bookkeeping, entering transaction after transaction, looking for mistakes you or your clients could have made by accident. So just set things up and enjoy the results in your QuickBooks, Xero, drinking tea and making creative plans upon how you can develop your business. So this is the ideal picture of how the automation can influence your daily routine. So the more detailed information about your sales and expenses you have, the better reporting tax returns you get. And you have to manage your business effectively and make the most beneficial decisions, which is no secret are data-driven in our time of technology. So this is a competitive advantage you need to have for your business and for the business of your client. So right now, let's get to the practical part we were mentioning and see the example of one automation tool that can be a huge time saver in terms of helping you doing automation for multiple e-commerce clients basically effectively and efficiently. And though we're focusing on e-commerce today, actually this workflow will also be helpful if you have some clients that just have online payment gateway and they have online transactions. So we will be demonstrating all of the points we were talking about using the example of combination of QuickBooks Online and Cinder application. And basically the important thing to say that is this app is compatible with all the points above that we've covered. And if you have something something else to add, some other pitfalls, we will also let you know whether this app will cover them or not.
Yeah, so Cinder is a solution for data synchronization between e-commerce and payment platforms like Shopify, eBay, Amazon, Ecwid, as well as Stripe, PayPal, Square, and some others on one side, and QuickBooks Online and Desktop and Xero on the other side. So this app is compatible with each point, as Paula mentioned, of those that we discussed above. When I'm going to be showing you right now how it works in a video, and I'll be commenting on what you're seeing on the screen, how integration basically works, the general flow of it. And then I'll get back to kind of assessing this integration from the point of view of these 10 points that we kind of mentioned earlier. So let me just launch the video, and I hope you will be able to see. You see my screen. Sorry. Hopefully. If not, I will just tell you. You'll get my my word. And we'll go and test the application just a moment. Yeah, I hope it will work right now. Right. So this is a tool where you can manage all of your customers' online transactions in one place. So here you can see my profile. This is my profile page, and there are different accounting companies, payment platforms, and e-commerce platforms connected. So let's say I have 2 clients, 2 QuickBooks companies connected, and one of the clients is using Shopify, and I connected Shopify to this QuickBooks online company, and another client of mine has a Stripe and PayPal, so I also connected them. If you want to add more, you just click the add sign and add QuickBooks or Xero company, whichever you prefer, and add payment platform, which your customer is using. Then you basically just select the needed one from the list, like this, and click connect. And if you're not the admin, no worries, you can invite the account owner to grant permissions, like there, what you see on the screen right now, and you'll just connect it as easily. Yeah, so this, you can customize this integration for each platform and each client individually with really a diverse set of settings. You can click there on the gear icon in the app. You can tell the app, how to apply taxes, classes, locations, whether you care about tracking customers in products or not. You can use generic ones. You can synchronize transactions in multi-currency, and many more. So once everything is connected, you can see the list of all of your customers' transactions in here in the Transactions tab. I have my Shopify clients' transactions in Stripe, so I can choose one of the payment platforms. Let's choose Shopify, and I want to synchronize only these transactions to this client's QuickBooks. So what I do, I just select the needed ones, and this is historical data, and I just want to have full control of what I'm syncing. I select all of them and click the sync button. You can actually sync, roll back the sync transactions, which is delete them. You can archive transactions or export them to Excel, all within this button. So for now, let's just click sync. And once you see the green synced status, it means that these transactions are in your QuickBooks. I'm using QuickBooks Online to show you how this integration works. So they're stored in the clearing account in the chart of accounts, as Polly mentioned already. For me, it's Shopify bank account at the moment. So here you can see the list of the sales transactions. So Cinder creates a sales receipt for the total amount of the sale, and then an expense for the Shopify fee, the processing fee. It creates it in great detail. So let's just take a look at one sales receipt in here, how it looks like. So you see the customer name is here, then the product names are mentioned, tax is accounted for, and discount information is here as well, all you care about. So the product names are especially important because you want to categorize your transactions automatically in QuickBooks, and as we already said that each product has a certain income account, and you want to see certain transactions with these products in your profit and loss report under the correct accounts. So if you, for instance, run this report in QuickBooks after synchronizing transactions with Cinder, you just run it for whichever period of time you prefer, you will see that all transactions have been accounted for and automatically categorized in here. Also, you can see the expenses and Shopify fees accounted for separately, so you always know how much you paid to Shopify for processing your transactions. And the same goes for PayPal expense transactions. You also might want to synchronize them. Some of your clients might need that. So you can configure this in Cinder. It's really a bonus feature. Not every integration has this, and really I think Cinder is almost the one. So you can apply categorization rules, and here you see the list. basically what you say, you create conditions. If like the vendor mentioned in my expenses Starbucks, I want to have these transactions under meals and entertainment. So I create conditions and tell the app to synchronize it to this very category, and Cinder will do this, and you won't need to categorize anything manually anymore. So this is for PayPal expenses, a really cool bonus feature as well. So yeah, let's just for now go back to the clearing account for just a quick moment in the chart of accounts in QuickBooks. And you will notice that apart from the individual transactions in here, which are sales receipts and expenses, there is a transfer recorded, a transfer to checking account. As Polly already mentioned, it is mirroring the real life money flow. So your client receives money to the Shopify account from like hundreds of clients, customers. And then Shopify just makes a big transfer of the lump of money, deducts fees, and transfers the money to the actual bank account of your client. This is what Cinder is recording in your QuickBooks. So you can see this transfer in here recorded in this account. And you see the list of all transactions with details. You can account for them as well. But also let's just go quickly to the banking tab and see what difference it makes for reconciliation process. Polly just mentioned it quickly. I'm going to just show you real quick. You see that near the Shopify line, bank statement line, there is a match option down below. So you can just click match. No need to add this transfer manually or match it to different invoices. You just match, and it goes under categorize in your QuickBooks. And you're ready to reconcile, as simple as this. And you just click match near all Shopify bank statement lines. Yeah, so once you kind of made sure that Cinder is set up correctly according to your client's flow, just enable auto-sync within the app. And Cinder will do everything automatically and just track the results in QuickBooks. So you can do this in settings. Remember the gear icon that we saw at the beginning of the video, and just enable synchronize automatically ongoing transactions and click update. You'll just need to track the results in QuickBooks and see whether the integration is working correctly. And of course the app provides you with 10 free syncs, which is a free trial, which is very important, where you can make sure that it works correctly for you. So to sum up, let's recall the 10 questions you want to ask yourself before choosing an integration that you want to use and see what Cinder offers. So Cinder is a very flexible integration, first of all, because you can set it up for all of your clients differently and in one place. And the app has a variety of useful settings to customize syncing to almost any flow. Cinder cares about security of your data and won't mess up your books due to skips duplicates and rollback or delete features, as Polly mentioned, which is very important to have. Cinder records all available details about online transactions to your accounting companies, and of course helps you automatically categorize and records tax details, and helps you prepare your books for quick and correct tax filing. It does record fees, as you saw on the screen, which are linked to the transactions, which they're linked with on your, let's say, Shopify account. And because it integrates with both e-commerce platform and the payment gateway, if you have separate systems for them. The app does sync in multiple currencies, and it handles them correctly in QuickBooks, and depending on your setup, it will be handled correctly. It has a free trial, as I mentioned. You can synchronize historical transactions, and you have full control of how and what you synchronize. You saw that I just selected the needed ones. And Cinder really helps you reconcile quickly and really easily due to payouts processing, as you saw in the video. And if you check the reviews for the app on the marketplaces, especially QuickBooks and Xero as well, you will see how reliable this app is for other people who have been using it. So yeah, that's Cinder. That's how it looks like. And I hope you had some questions and you dropped them in the Q&A section.
Yeah, we do have some, so we can cover them one by one. So there was a question about the client who uses Fair.com. Well, this is, I'm not sure there is an integration for this with QuickBooks, which is listed on the QuickBooks Marketplace, but I've heard that there is an integration. So basically you just you can Google it. It's something like Lucky Chacha. So there is something. And if I'm not mistaken, it also has a free trial. So you can go ahead and just check this for your client if this integration would work for you. So it's definitely Lucky. Yeah, sorry, I'm not able to remember, but we'll double check this and we can cover this in the follow-up email to all the attendees. But there is definitely something. Another question. Yeah, so laptop issues. Okay, so another question was about where do you find the reviews for the app you're going to use? So if we have a majority of clients here who use QuickBooks Online, and QuickBooks Online does have a marketplace where you can find like a real vast majority of applications, as well as their reviews. So each application has a star rating, and you can just like type into the search the name of platform you want to integrate with QuickBooks. This should give you some options upon what applications are available, and you'll be able to see what are the reviews for each of them. So QuickBooks Marketplace does allow this. Another question was regarding the setup map, like setting up and setup mapping. So yes, Cinder does this pretty much automatically. So the whole setup is just connection of QuickBooks, which is simply entering credentials, connection of the payment processors or e-commerce platforms, which is also just entering credentials. This third step is one-click setup form, so you kind of just play around with the measure settings, and with one click you get it set up for the first initial testing. So basically setup takes like pretty much three steps with just 3 clicks. So yeah, you can definitely like try it out. So the setting is nothing to be afraid of, for sure. And any setting will be available after this initial one-click setup, but you will be able to kind of play around with settings when you have already like an understanding upon what the result looks, because the one-click setup is based on the feedback of like the majority of our clients. So basically this form will just provide you with setup which will be pretty much okay. But if something looks not good, you'll be able to change this at any time, and for sure address support team with any questions you might have. Another question. Yeah, so about larger e-commerce clients with like number of transactions per month is like about 30,000. So yeah, for this kind of big clients, individual transactions entering can be at least, I mean, maybe not the best option, because indeed QuickBooks will be slowing down because of having too many customers, too many items. So unfortunately, I mean, QuickBooks is just great, but when you have like, I mean, tens of thousands of like records inside of it, and I mean, not just transactions records, but like your items and like customers and vendors, this might be a problem which will slow down your QuickBooks a bit. So yeah, the best thing here to be using like some daily summaries, and for now this like this is something that Cinder has under constructions as well, to kind of synchronize the daily summary transaction. Yeah, so this is I think the answers the question. And as for the sales tax, yeah, in Canada there are quite a lot of taxes. Yeah, and so yeah, so it was different costs and the same rate. So taxes are handled this way, that in case you have the taxes, some kind of taxes in your like Shopify or Stripe site, so on your payment processing site, they will be transferred over correctly to the tax field in QuickBooks. So when you run a tax report, you'll see just the amount the correct amount of taxes. Cinder itself can apply taxes only if you set it up to, but yeah, pretty much it's like for now the logic is more about taking the taxes that were calculated and transferring them over to the accounting platform. But they will be in Tax Center in QuickBooks for sure. So another question we have here. So I see the thing, but it did not. Oh, we have too many coming. Okay, sorry. So I see this thing, but it did not show the sales detail to the different products. Can you map each Stripe or Shopify sale to specific revenue items and not just sales? Yes. So the answer is yes. When you synchronize, when you open a transaction, you'll be able to see breakdown for each specific product. So we also try to show this in the video. But when you open a transaction, it should, the product should be, even if you have several products inside of one sales receipt or invoice, they all should be transferred over. And in Cinder, you can do the mapping between the names coming from, let's say, like Stripe and the names of items that are set up in your QuickBooks if that's needed. So you can do this kind of mapping as well. Yeah, so partial payments in Shopify, sales orders in Shopify that are not yet paid. As for not yet paid transaction, the logic, this is actually a good question. So the logic of Cinder is like it works on a cash basis. So if the payment went through, it will be reflected and synchronized. If it's just an order that was not paid, this kind of transaction will not go through. So it's not for accrual basis to operate. And partial payments, yes, it will be able to handle partial payments. Even if you have, let's say, payment on the payment process side and the open invoice in your QuickBooks, it will be able to, based on the kind of several parameters, it will be able to match this payment to the open invoice for a particular client. So it can do this as well. So my clients pay for some expenses through PayPal, as well as sales. Does Cinder handle the expenses too? Yeah, exactly. For PayPal, Cinder does handle expenses for sure, and you can also do categorization of your expenses based on the information you have inside of your expense. So let's say based on vendor names or like the memo field or the amount of expense. So you can do even the categorization. So once the expense will be created in QuickBooks, it will be assigned to the right expense category, and your profit and loss will be detailed not only in terms of income, but also in terms of PayPal expenses. So yes, it does handle this. As for the cost of Cinder, it's based on the amount of transactions on a monthly basis. So there are plans like starting from 100 transactions a month, and they're going to like several hundreds, like up to 500 transactions a month. So this is the pricing model, and you just pay a monthly fee for the synchronization. And for sure, you can enable Cinder to do this like automatically. So you just set it up, you make sure it works properly, and then you kind of enable automatic synchronization, and you can just forget about Cinder. It will do everything on the background, and you'll just see the results on the QuickBooks end. So yeah, so this is okay. Another question. One client uses Shopify and some clients pay through Shopify as a merchant account and some pay by PayPal, multiple payments options through Shopify. Yeah, this is fine. So this is exactly the situation that we were covering like before the video, when you have like some transactions going through Shopify, some payments and you have some options like, some other payment processors like PayPal as well connected. Cinder for sure can handle this, but just the point that you would need to connect both your Shopify and PayPal to Cinder, and it will see whether if the payment goes through PayPal, it will be able to synchronize it to your QuickBooks, and if the payment is done on the Shopify side, it will also be able to synchronize it to QuickBooks with no double ups. So no worries in terms of this. Yeah, just need to connect both of those. So for sure, Cinder has a free trial. As we said, it's compatible with all the 10 points that we were covering like in the middle of the webinar. So for sure, you can go ahead and see whether it works for your clients or yourself. Yeah, so that was quite an intense question and answer session, so that's just great. Thank you very much for your questions. If there is anything else, you can also go ahead and type in any questions you might have. Just another several seconds, but if there are no questions, we will move on to finish, because I think we have 2 more minutes and that's it. This is our time limit. Okay, so no more questions. Yeah, so basically we've covered all the points that we wanted throughout the webinar, and thank you very much for your attention throughout our meeting, and hopefully these points that we mentioned, they will help you to choose your software wisely and go to the automation, having all the advices that we've shared helping you.
Yeah, and we promised you some goodies at the beginning of the webinar, and so here they are. For those attendees who would like to check whether Cinder can be a part of their workflow, we're offering a special extended free trial of Cinder app that comes with 50 free syncs. It's usually 10. For you, it will be 50. So just mention the promo code CinderX5 that you see on the screen. Type it in the chat to our support team, or just email the support team, and they will apply this bonus to your free accounts, and you will be able to test the app more and understand how it works.
Yeah, for sure. And if you want to learn more, don't hesitate to go to cinderapp.com or follow us on social media, and also email us, and yeah, we'll be able to answer on any questions you might have. And for sure, we will also send you follow-up emails where we will invite you to the webinar, which is devoted directly to Cinder, which may be of use for you, where you will be able to kind of address Cinder specialists with more detailed question upon the flows of your clients. And yeah, that's it. So thank you very much for your attention and for your wonderful questions. It was really a pleasure to run this webinar for you. We hope it was helpful. And yeah, that's it. Goodbye, folks.
Yeah, thank you so much, and have a great day.